It had to be done. Yes, your host was a little bit inspired with his Adobe Premiere today and wanting to wish everybody a very special Chicago style of Happy Easter. And yes, that was Mayor Lori Lightfoot in the end, dressed as the Easter Bunny, terrorizing a frightened young child. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight on the Friday night edition of Chicago Corner. I'm really very happy that you could all join us. It looks like we've got 11 people in the chat. I want to welcome Dana Fairbanks, Miguel H., Extra Bulla. Who else is in here? AG, John Kemper, Miguel H., and of course, Kathy Powers. Let me welcome our co-host for the evening, Mr. Kit Cabello.
Yeah, hey, AG, not interested in kids' childhood pics. I like to let you know that my mom would never put me in that kind of situation. So how dare you, good sir? How dare you?
Have you ever come across those creepy Easter bunny pictures before?
Yes, I have. And thank goodness I had family members that would never do that to me. Now that's forever on the internet. Because thank goodness we got Oreo there. Oreo, our official producer for Chicago Corner.
Yeah.
Slapped them all in the goddamn mouth. My goodness.
I have a tradition of sharing those pictures on my Facebook and my social media every year, and I was kind of inspired after our witnessing Mayor Lightfoot's predilection for cosplay. I haven't seen her do the Easter Bunny yet, so I had to Photoshop it so we could imagine what that would look like.
Jerry, why do I have the sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach that we might see Mayor Lori Lightfoot as the Easter Bunny? Okay, because I could see that crap happening. I can see that BS happening right now, and yeah. So there we go. There, I don't want to go too much.
Just give it time. Just give it time. We'll have to see what happens this Sunday where she shows up. Anyway,
check this out. Mayor Lightfoot dresses the Easter Bunny. Get some free gasoline. Would you do it?
So, how about this wind, man? Did you? I mean, I was like, even at night and early in the morning today, it sounded like we were in Kansas during the Wizard of Oz. That's how heavy the winds were outside.
You know what? I mean, I'm used to it. It wasn't as bad, but I mean, when I got to the studio, obviously because we're on the 5th floor. I love saying that because we got that 5th floor view of the city, which is just so beautiful. We did hear it. It was like, bashing against the building, and it was kind of getting loud. Thankfully, it didn't mess up with the microphones too much because one part of the windows isn't properly sealed, and we got to get that work order to get that fixed. But it is what it is. It's April, it's spring, but I'm just happy that it's not cold anymore.
Yeah. I love listening to the winds as long as they don't, create situations that are dangerous for people's houses with tornadoes developing. And I also love really good thunderstorms and lightning storms here in Chicago, especially over.
I like them too when I'm not in them. So like, for example, when I was, if there was a day I didn't have to go to my classes in college, or I had a day off from work at Costco and there was a big thunderstorm happening, I was like all snug in my bed. Like, yeah, I don't have to worry about a goddamn thing. I'm listening to it, and I don't feel sorry for anyone else that's out there because I'm inside.
John Kemper comments in the chat, hard when you're driving on 90. I have a Jeep Wrangler, and I went to the post office to drop some stuff off last night. It must have been close to 7 o'clock. Climbed into the Jeep, which is a pretty sturdy, deep vehicle, and the wind battering my Jeep, I literally was like, it felt buffeted enough to almost like blow it over, which it is like amazing and terrifying at the same time. Anyway, wow. I just thought I'd remark on that since I know we were all experiencing it. Ilhanar shares in the chat, Easter, another capitalistic holiday. Spend your money on shit you don't need. So, Kit, I ran out of my Jack Daniels last week, pouring myself.
No.
But I went into my liquor cabinet and I found some Johnny Walker Black.
Hold on, I'll join you. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right there to join you. Hang on.
Mixed with.
Hang on. I'll join you. Give me 1 minute.
All right.
Momento.
We have to imbibe a little bit on Friday nights when we talk about this stuff, since we're here with you people, and hopefully everybody is at home enjoying a drink also, as we pour ourselves one to talk about this week's stories. Let's see what we got going on in the live chat here. Oh, tepid. I think that it looks like the super chats are finally working. I instituted that in the hopes we could raise some money for the channel. So thank you for that, tepid. I really do appreciate that. Extra bullet, Johnny and Coke. Nice. Yeah. Johnny Walker Black got a bottle in the cabinet. Cheers. Extra bullet. I'm drinking my own Tears of
all right.
AG looks like he's got a couple frosty mugs there. So I want to dedicate this, as an old girlfriend used to like to say, prior to imbibing. Oh, wait,
Cheers.
wrong thing here. Let's have a cocktail. All righty. And
Oh man, that's some good stuff too. Wow, it's been a while since I had this one.
And let's get the show started. All right, so how about this, man? I don't know if you saw this. Actually,
I did.
Because FaZe shared it in Slack, and I had actually seen it. I spend a lot of time on Reddit these days looking for stuff in Chicago. And the meme is, hang on, little guy, infrastructure funding is coming to Chicago. Yes, that is a pillar in Chicago, apparently underneath a railroad overpass. And some comments from the Reddit where I found this. A lot of the worst viaducts are right of ways owned by private rail companies. Shouldn't they be fined until they get things like this repaired? Another Reddit commenter remarked, Chicago is going to make national news for a viaduct collapse if they don't get the act together. Many viaducts are this bad. I haven't seen them this bad, although I have seen crumbling viaducts here on the north side underneath the Red Line when I've headed over to Lakeshore Drive. I think they may have done some repairs along, I want to say Hollywood. But still, when I go under these viaducts everywhere, Kit, it's really, really frightening.
When I drive to the studio, there's two areas in which I go to, and I've noticed that underneath both of them viaducts, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like concrete, like there's holes above me. There's potholes. There's cracks all over the infrastructure. Right now, I'm actually tempted to just taking the long way around, taking the highway, and taking then the side street, so I avoid even going underneath those viaducts. Because after seeing this, this is all too common, and people will probably forget this. But when we got hit with that polar vortex, a huge chunk of steel fell off and was severely cracked on Lakeshore Drive.
Yep.
And Lakeshore Drive had to be shut down because it was an infrastructure problem. This, again, is here. It should show all of you why, again, there's something wrong with the city government, why we need to get rid of these politicians that have been in power for 23, which is why we need to get involved in this 2023 election cycle. More importantly, call out Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Hey, Lightfoot, why aren't we funding and rebuilding our infrastructure? Lightfoot, how come we're not using the TIF funds to help invest into our infrastructure so that we don't have a disaster? Because I could see this happening where, again, maybe there's a train. Who knows if it's carrying passengers or hazardous material and it collapses? How will that severely impact the neighborhoods and communities, especially if it's a train that's hauling, I don't know, dangerous chemicals or petroleum or anything else? I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Kit. And I also want to comment, we reported on this, I think, last month, all the millions of dollars that went into the Belmont flyover, right? While all of this stuff is ignored. Plus, people have discovered that part of the Belmont flyover is already starting to deteriorate and crumble. They're already doing repairs on that. A couple other comments from Reddit. Not only a complete collapse, but also chunks of concrete falling down, hitting people in cars. This looks like Western Avenue, just south of Pershing. I believe that is the responsibility of the railroad to repair. They won't do anything unless there is a death. Whoever's responsible.
Yeah, that does look like it's Western Avenue. Holy cow, that's a busy street too.
Whoever's responsibility it is, whether it's the railroads or the cities, if it is the railroads, then where's the city in assessing this, finding them, and forcing them to fix this? And if it's the city's responsibility, that's where all the millions of TIF funds and infrastructure that's going towards little pet projects like Emmanuel's Belmont flyover during his administration diverted funds towards fixing this kind of shit. Not only in possibly private railroad property, if that's their responsibility, but in actual city city property that they're responsible for with the CTA and other infrastructure across the city.
You see, this is what happens when you also privatize everything too. When you have these private corporations, because remember, corporations, if they can cut costs, they will. If they could do things at a cheap level, they will. And if it means that they don't send people out to look at the stuff and they keep kicking the can down the road, they're going to do it. Oh, what? Some families and people got killed? Oh, too bad. So sad. Again, this is what happens when you privatize everything. Someone's got to investigate into this, and also hold this Mayor Lori Lightfoot, accountable, because again, it's her city. She's supposed to care about it. Watch. You know what? We're lucky we caught that. I'm going to count down the times of when there's going to be a disaster. I hope I'm wrong about it.
I mean, if this photograph is as widely is being as widely circulated as I think it is on social media and where we found it, I'm waiting to see if there will be a response from the city or from somebody. But if not, it's not like it wasn't out there to warn people ahead of time.
Yeah, and I could see that happening. I could see Mayor Lightfoot being callous and ignoring it. I mean, this is what to expect from this mayor. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. And if there is going to be an accident, God forbid, here's hoping that doesn't happen. But if there is an accident, how much you want to bet that Lori Lightfoot is going to blame somebody else or say, "Don't blame me"?
Of course she will. Of course she will.
So what's happening in your city, Mayor Lightfoot? Again, reasons why she should not be reelected. This is happening under Mayor Lori Lightfoot's watch, and I don't care if she's going to say, "Well, this happened on the previous other mayor." Yeah, but you're the mayor right now, Lightfoot. So, Mayor Lightfoot, what's holding you back from actually looking into this, closing that street off, getting repair people down there? Oh, what? It might stop people from using that street for 1 day or 2 days. I don't know. But I think that's kind of the big thing. Please fix that. Fix the crumbling infrastructure. People will thank you later. Oh, a mayor who cares. But wait, you're Mayor Lightfoot, so you don't care. So you're going to ignore it and then put the blame on somebody else.
Well, she cares about some things we're going to get into after the first story. But speaking of elections, Kit, I love when we have these very perfect natural transitions. So it was announced everywhere, but I'm quoting from Block Club Chicago, as reported by Aaron Hegarty, The Daily Line, and Mina Bloom. Popular DJ Julian Jumpin Perez running for alderman in the 26th ward. Popular DJ, a Chicago DJ and producer, has leaped into the race for 26th ward alderman, signaling a possible challenge for Alderman Roberto Maldonado, who has held the seat for more than a decade. Now, my first suspicion was, what's he jumping in for as far as any corruption or scandals that Maldonado may be involved in? But surprisingly, Maldonado really has had a very, I want to say, honest record as far as I could tell. And he also seems to identify himself as, what was it here that I made a note of? He identifies himself as nonpartisan as far as parties go within city council. Let me share a little bit about Maldonado's record. Let's see here. He was appointed in 2009 under Chicago Mayor Daley. He owns more real estate than any other alderman, with 16 properties, including 10 in the 26th ward, according to a financial disclosure statements. Now, in 2013, Maldonado generated controversy through his efforts to convert Ames Middle School into a Marines Academy. The school board ultimately approved the proposal, despite significant local opposition. In 2015, despite majority local support of the Riot Fest musical festival, Maldonado vocally opposed allowing the event to continue using Humboldt Park. The festival ultimately relocated to North Lawndale. In 2017, a video surfaced of Maldonado confronting police officers at a crime scene in his neighborhood and attempting to use his status as an alderman to have police allow him to drive through an active crime scene. In the video, the alderman's response to the officers not allowing him to drive through the crime scene was, "You know what? This is why the police department is in such bad shape with the citizens." Maldonado later filed a complaint accusing the officers of rude and discourteous behavior towards him. In 2019, he was selected as the chairman of the council's Latino caucus by his fellow caucus members. Not much else there as far as why you would wonder why Perez decided to jump in the race. But let me go to the Block Club Chicago article. Perez Perez filed a D1 statement of organization for Friends of Julian Perez on Tuesday, describing the intent of his campaign committee as one, to support the candidacy of Julian Perez for the office of Alderman of 26th Ward of the City of Chicago in Illinois. In his Twitter bio, Perez is described as one of the most recognized and respected DJs in the Chicagoland area, heard by millions on 104.3, Jams, B96, KISS FM, WBMX, WGCI, V103. I'm not quite clear on how that qualifies him to be alderman, but I'm not going to hold that against him. He's a local celebrity. He's obviously interested in his community to decide to take on this challenge or this challenge to Maldonado. He didn't immediately respond to requests for comment on Tuesday. Now, Alderman Ariel Raboiras of the 30th has filed at least 2 measures honoring Perez for his work as a DJ. One resolution that passed in 2018 extended congratulations to Perez on the 25th anniversary as disc jockey mix master on Chicago radio, and a proposed ordinance aimed to designate 6100 to 6300 West Fullerton Avenue as Julian Jumpin Perez Way. Following a measure approved in 2017, living Chicagoans are no longer eligible to have Chicago streets named in their honor, DNA info reported at the time. All right, so he's got a lot of interesting accolades. He founded the Julian Jumpin Perez Foundation in 2019 to help fulfill his dream of giving back to the communities that have supported and loved him throughout his career, according to the foundation's website. According to Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul's charitable trust database search, Perez's foundation had $1,890 in assets at the close of 2020. Now, Perez, who is Cuban, made headlines in 2019 for mocking Mexican immigrants from the stage at Festival Cubano. He asked the crowd, what's the best way to get Mexicans to run? And followed up with, say, ICE. The remark left many in attendance and other Chicago Latinos in disbelief. Organizers of My House Music Festival in Pilsen, home to a large Mexican population, dropped Perez from their lineup following the incident. He later apologized. The next citywide mayoral and aldermanic election is set for February 28th of next year. Everybody's up for re-election. Now, as far as Maldonado goes, given the fact he really doesn't have much of a sketchy history as alderman, as we mentioned, he served since 2009 when he was appointed by Richard M. Daley. He's defeated challengers in the 2011, 2015, and 2019 elections. He narrowly avoided a runoff in 2019. In 2020, he lost his 26th Ward Democratic Committeeman seat to Angie Gonzalez Rodriguez, potentially signaling a challenge in future elections. So he also listed his $2.4 million Humboldt Park house for sale last month, further fueling speculation he doesn't plan to run again. So apparently, after he put the house up for sale, I guess people are sensing he's not going to run. This might be behind why Perez decided to jump in, realizing there could potentially be a vacancy. But Maldonado denied the rumor in an interview with Block Club, saying there's more he wants to do in the 26th Ward, including increasing affordable housing in the area. The real estate listing also highlighted the murky relationship between Maldonado's personal real estate dealings and his political policies. Maldonado has long pushed for anti-gentrification legislation, which is a good thing, to curb gentrification along the 606 Bloomingdale Trail, but now he stands to profit from the trail for the second time. Recent campaign finance records show that Maldonado began the second quarter of the year with $23,608 on hand in his Citizens for Maldonado campaign war chest, and $56,468.01 in his 26th Ward Democratic Organization account, which was set up to support work as a committeeman, though he no longer holds that role. This is an interesting challenge, given the fact he hasn't announced that he's retiring or doesn't intend to run. So I guess all we can kind of do is kind of sit back and watch. But it's not a sexy story as far as reasons for Perez to jump in and challenge him, because the guy doesn't, aside from, people suggesting he's got all this real estate and he's anti-gentrification, there's a bit of a contradiction there. Have you followed Maldonado's career at all, Kit, to speculate or comment on this?
Well, here's the thing. You don't sell your property unless you're trying to indicate that you're done here or something else. I mean, it does draw up some interesting questions. However, if he's saying that he's still in the race, okay, well, I think this should be a very interesting election to cover. We do invite both candidates to be on our show, Chicago Corner. Because let's face it, the 2023 election, while it is still 2022, 2023 is still around the corner. You want to get the word out about why people should consider voting for you, be it the incumbent or the challenger. Explain to us here at Chicago Corner, why should people take you seriously, especially with a city that's been neglected? Are you going to do things different? Mr. Incumbent, are you going to do something different? To the challenger, what are you going to do to contribute to help out the working class communities in Chicago? Because the thing is, gone are the days of people just taking the benefit of the doubt or assuming that you're going to do well. Don't come onto this channel and say, oh, I'm going to do this and that and that, and lie, because we're going to call you out on it. So to both those challengers, to the incumbent and to the challenger for the 26th ward, explain your reasons why the people of Chicago should vote for you. Come on Chicago Corner and explain to us why. Don't just say what you're going to do or what you care about the community. Tell us why we should vote for you. What makes you stand out?
Speaking of that, next Tuesday, we have scheduled on Chicago Corner Anna Schiefelbein, who is running is a Green Party candidate running for office in the next term. So I'm very excited. We're going to have Anna on for the first part of the show to directly talk about her candidacy, what her policies and her platforms are. Hey, Mayra, thank you.
Thank you, Myra, for the $5 YouTube super chat. But we also got a YouTube super chat, $2 from Tepid. We also got another YouTube super chat from John Kemper, $2. Happy Friday, Chicago Corner. Thank you, John Kemper. Thank you, Tepid. Thank you, Myra Sanchez. We do appreciate all the support we are getting here at Chicago Corner. Thank you so much for the YouTube super chats, because it does help us out and what we can do here for the show. And again, to the candidates in the 26th ward, direct challenge. One of you come onto our show. Both of you come onto our show. Tell us why we should consider voting for you. Why should the people in the 26th ward throw their vote to either one of you?
Sadly, the flavor improving Chicago Corner mugs, I don't know how much they've been moving. Maybe it's because they're a little bit high in price to cover the shipping and the manufacturing costs, which we have no control over. But these small super chats are greatly appreciated and helpful, along with the fact that YouTube is finally monetizing us, finally monetizing our channel. I spent a lot of time over in the YouTube studio to basically start. I selected all the. It's interesting when you go into the YouTube studio and start selecting which videos you want them to monetize. They automatically question whether or not some advertisers will support your broadcasts or your segments that you're submitting for monetization. And okay, granted, sometimes we have a little bit of a potty mouth here expressing ourselves, but I thought, no, this stuff is not that horrible for advertisers. And I went in and manually asked for a live set of eyes to look at all those videos, and remarkably, live eyes looked at those videos and changed their decisions from the AI that automatically blocked us from monetization from some videos to allowing it. So I decided I was going to make YouTube do their jobs and actually have people look at stuff before they automatically start deciding where you can make money on videos from advertising revenues there. So yeah, cash tube censoring for cash. Kathy Powers says, "Come on the show if you dare." Kathy also remarked, Kappelman says he's retiring. Do you believe him? No. Not at all. Speaking of elections, another wonderful transition for us here, as I love to do. Lori Lightfoot is already facing some resistance regarding her reelection campaign. They're already on
fantastic news. Before I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is fantastic news. Look, I'm in the camp of I dread to think who her successor will be, but I do not want to see Mayor Lori Lightfoot get reelected, because I am legitimately concerned about how much this will boost up her undeserved ego and how she has horribly led this city. The people of Chicago, in their best interest, should vote for anyone but Lightfoot. She does not deserve to be reelected. Simple as that. And I'm looking at the merits of her character. She's ignored the crimes and issues on the south side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago. She's ignored political corruption, police corruption. She hasn't done anything about the lead in Chicago's drinking water. She has ignored Chicago public schools. She has actively fought against the Chicago Teachers Union, especially going after Chicago teachers, harassing the Chicago public schools. Oh, and let's not forget this dreadful winter that we went through, where the snow plows, shockingly, out of the blue, seem to have been given orders to not plow in front of public schools. Oh, and our infrastructure is falling apart too. So, and also, by the way, it's the same Mayor Lori Lightfoot that took federal COVID money and used it to pay off the city's debts. And again, has been actively against UBI too.
Shared with me before the show by Kathy Powers. Next stop, everybody under the bus.
And that's the thing. I don't care what part of the city of Chicago you're in. That's what Lightfoot is going to do to every single city, ward in Chicago. Lightfoot will do that if she gets reelected. Mark my words. She's for the billionaires.
Let's go back to the Tribune article.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
no. This is a conversation.
This is the truth. It's the uncomfortable truth about Lightfoot. This is who she is. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, don't worry, kid. The only thing I sometimes get concerned about when you interrupt is that you basically say everything that I also want to share. So you make my job much easier. I'm not complaining. Let's go to the article though, because even people around her are expressing the fact that this might be just an insurmountable hurdle for her. As Mayor Lori Lightfoot gears up for her expected re-election campaign after 3 tumultuous years, she finds herself in a familiar position on the defensive. Lightfoot, the rookie politician, won in 2019 in part because of her credentials as an outsider. But Lightfoot, the incumbent, does not have that advantage, and in just the past 8 days, still more than 10 months before the municipal election day, 2 candidates have announced plans to run for mayor with expectations several more will join the field. During her 3 years plus in office, Lightfoot has faced spikes in crime, hasn't run as transparent an administration as promised, and engaged in constant fights with unions representing Chicago teachers and police, all while struggling to forge good relationships with politicians or leaders in the city's business community. I think that's where more of her priorities lie. Now, I love this quote. I have never met anybody who has managed to piss off every single person they come in contact with. Police, fire, teachers, aldermen, businesses, manufacturing. Alderman Susan Sedlowski Garza of the 10th, a one-time close Lightfoot ally, said recently, in explaining why she wouldn't endorse the mayor for re-election. I said it. That's it. I don't care. The situation is rare for an incumbent mayor. Richard M. Daley, the longest-serving mayor in city history, had his problems, but rarely had tough competition come election time. His successor, Rahm Emanuel, faced steeper challenges than Daley, but overcame them with massive fundraising. She has the position, she doesn't have the power, said veteran Chicago political strategist Delmarie Cobb, who isn't currently advising any mayoral campaigns. You may be the mayor, but you don't have the power that a Daley had or a Rahm Emanuel had, and that's because they came in with that kind of power. They didn't have to gain it. They were given it, absolutely. I think in one case, one thing that's interesting to observe here, Kid, is that they were given that power. Daley by his father and Rahm by the Democratic Party when they decided to dump him on Chicago because people in Washington had enough of him serving as Obama's chief of staff. Washington's gain became Chicago's liability because he was a big fundraiser in the Democratic Party, and that was his reward. As his reward for covering up the Laquan McDonald shooting, 16 shots in a cover-up, is to now be the U.S.'s ambassador to Japan, despite the fact that he should be in jail in orange prison fatigues for contributing to covering up a killing on the streets of Chicago, my opinion, but I think a lot of people agree. They didn't have to gain the power, going back to the article. They actually had it when they walked in the door. She needed to achieve it and create the illusion of inevitability or being invulnerable, which is interesting with Lightfoot because she bamboozled all of us. We believed that she was a progressive. She's not. We believed she was going to be a reformer. She's not. And once she got in there and fooled everybody, it's been nothing but thin skin and my way or the highway with her.
There's
still.
Sorry, if I can interject here real quick, because look, I remember covering the 2019 election. I remember interviewing her. I remember we had that whole big selection of candidates that were running in the 2019 Chicago election cycle. When it came down to it, after the primary, there were 2 choices: Lightfoot and Preckwinkle. And Preckwinkle ran a piss-poor campaign. Now, again, she comes in second place in regards to my personal experience of seeing electoral campaigns, because the Kennedy campaign for running for governor will always be number 1 until I see something else. But with Preckwinkle's campaign, it was a perfect recipe for anyone to take advantage of. And Lightfoot won with a majority, even though there was low voter turnout. It was a landslide victory for Lightfoot, and there was a lot of things working in Lightfoot's favor in which she could actually get things done. There was that moment in time where she was challenging Ed Burke, and there was this facade of, okay, maybe we have a new type of mayor. But oh no, that mask came off and the lie was revealed. She's thin-skinned, no backbone, cannot take criticism whatsoever, and lashes out at all of her allies. Lightfoot is a charlatan. She was just as bad as Pretwinkle, except Pretwinkle's BS was already out there for the world to see. No one knew just how much of a fraud Lightfoot truly was.
Yeah, I mean, that election was, as far as Lightfoot and Preckwinkle went, shit or a shit sandwich. Choose, but choke on either. Even though I think some of us had better hopes for Lightfoot, but we've since seen that she was the shit, not the shit sandwich. When I think at the time we thought that Preckwinkle was going to be the shit with Lightfoot being the shit sandwich. The article goes on to say, though, still Lightfoot can't be dismissed. Incumbency in any form has power. She's earmarked roughly $3 billion in federal funds for city projects, and she's launched a series of programs aimed at reversing one of the biggest criticisms of Emanuel's tenure, disinvestment in Chicago's neighborhoods. But she hasn't really done that, especially on its south and west sides. Lightfoot also can argue she deserves more time to finish the job after having faced the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, of which she distributed 60 to 70% of the funds to police overtime, and some of the city's most significant civil unrest since the 1960s. Everyone keeps telling me she's done, said Alderman Nick Sposato, 38th, a Lightfoot ally, but you've got to have somebody to beat somebody. Earlier this week, businessman Willie Wilson, who has lost 2 previous bids for mayor and endorsed Lightfoot in 2019, joined Alderman Raymond Lopez of the 15th as an announced candidate for mayor in 2023. Lopez has garnered a large amount of attention for his consistent attacks on Lightfoot, mostly focused on crime, but it remains unclear if he'll be able to raise enough money to run citywide or counter criticism he nitpicks her unnecessarily. Wilson has significant personal wealth to help fund his campaign, and previously generated strong support from Chicago's black voters, but he hasn't been able to expand his base and make a runoff. Of course, in response to the Lopez and Wilson announcement, Lightfoot's campaign this week said the mayor is focused on keeping our streets safe from gangs and guns, pushing historic levels of economic investment in the south and west sides, and creating jobs and opportunities for all Chicagoans. We have a long road ahead. Candidates for mayor will come and go, but Mayor Lightfoot won't be distracted from the big city challenges at hand of economic recovery and public safety as we emerge from the pandemic. Asked Monday about Wilson's strong support from black voters, Lightfoot said, "I don't know that assumption is correct." Even though Lightfoot has not formally announced her re-election bid, she's expected to and made clear that she's watching the landscape carefully to avoid being upstaged. And, this kind of leads into our next story about her not wanting to be upstaged. Suddenly, let me shift stories because we've talked enough about, the fact that she's on the ropes. Suddenly, she's paying attention to Willie Wilson's giving out free gas, so the city's going to give out free gas cards. Now, after 3 years of sticking it to motorists over expired stickers, traffic cameras, she lowered the range on the speed cameras so that I think it's like 2 to 3 miles over, you get a fine, even though it's a little bit lower than I think if you're going over 5. Now, suddenly, as we get close to re-election, city touts programs to forgive fines owed for red light and speed cameras, expired stickers, and plates. It's essentially a play from Willie Wilson's playbook, Kit. At least Willie Wilson is honest about trying to buy off the voters. In this case, Lightfoot and the city is now starting to promote these potential programs to make everybody think that she's on their side or the city's on their side under administration.
No.
The shit's going to go away if she gets reelected. It's going to all go away.
Here's the thing. Okay, I have my criticisms of Willie Wilson, okay? But, at this point, he chose out of his own conscience or maybe seeing the battlefield of what the 2023 election is going to look like, I'm going to give the people of Chicago free gas on this day and on this day. Not once, but twice. And it was received with much adoration and support. Let's be very clear here. Times are tough for a lot of people in this city. It's very difficult. People need to get to and from work, help their family members out, help their friends out, that kind of stuff, okay? And you need gas for your vehicles. Simple as that. What does Lightfoot do, the charlatan? Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's taking away the people's love.
Right? Of course.
Click, copy, paste, and say, oh, I wrote this document. And now she's doing something like this too? No. Lightfoot, you could have done this day one. First year, and better yet, any day in the first year of your administration. I don't want to hear this excuse of now all of a sudden you realize it, because you're trying to buy the people's love.
Yep.
And you are a elected official. What prevented you from doing this from the first time you stepped foot into office?
This is what prevented it. Money. That's what prevented it.
And you know what? Tepid's saying in the chat, a full tank feels like a luxury. And at this point, that is a luxury. In America, having a full tank of gas is a luxury. Now, again, Willie Wilson provided that for people in the city of Chicago, for a lot of struggling families who desperately needed that. Where was Lightfoot in all of this? Nowhere. And wasn't Lightfoot against what Willie Wilson did in the first place, and then she decided to copy and paste? That's what she did. So I don't believe anything that's coming out of Lightfoot or her administration. And it's no wonder why her staff and many of her key allies are abandoning her, because she's not authentic. She's not original. She can't come up with new ideas. So she steals them from other people, or she becomes so petty. She wants to say, I'm the one that did this first. I deserve to be reelected. She is a narcissist, a sociopath, and someone who should not be reelected. I can't urge this enough to my fellow Northsiders, Southsiders, Westsiders, all across the city of Chicago. I don't care what part of the city you live in, but I think we all have to come down to the real honest conclusion. She has got to go.
How dare you, Kit? How dare you rail against me?
How dare you send me an email asking for money? I ain't going to give you jack. You're against the UBI.
I've got the biggest dick in Chicago. All right, let's go to the article. How she's trying to buy us off this time, as reported by Mac Liederman at Blog Club Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration is touting programs designed to help people dig out from under debt from vehicle sticker fines, speeding, and red light tickets and expired plates. You know, this is a real sore spot for me, especially those speed cams or traffic cams. Between now and December 31st, 2023, motorists can use the Fix-It program to get out of fines for expired plates and expired city stickers. Hey, I'm glad they can. Everybody take advantage of it. We've only got till December 31st, 2023 on the hopes that she is going to get reelected, and you know that she'll repeal it after that. Drivers must get their plates or stickers up to date and then contest existing tickets. That's when they can show proof that they fixed the problem. The separate Clear Path Relief Program is meant to help reduce the city debt of low-income motorists who have racked up tickets for offenses like speeding, running a red, and parking violations. Expired parking meter tickets are not eligible, however. Of course they're not. Parking tickets, of course they're not. To qualify, people must have existing vehicle-related debt, be enrolled in the Utility Billing Relief Program, or have a household income of no greater than 300% of federal poverty guidelines. You got to literally be like living out of a dumpster. For example, a family of four, okay, maybe not. For example, a family of four can earn no more than $82,250 according to the city, which isn't a lot if you've got a family of four that you're feeding. Drivers who pay off original fines, no penalties or interest for eligible tickets issued within the last 3 years could have older debt waived. In addition, new tickets issued within a year of enrollment in the Clear Path Relief Program will be reduced by half, and unpaid tickets will not have penalties added until or after December 31st of 2023. To get old non-parking meter debt waived, participants must complete their payment plan and pay their meter tickets in full or enroll them in a payment plan. The two policies will reduce the reliance of fees that disproportionately impact low-income communities on the city's budget, the mayor's office said. Each year, tens of thousands of city residents are placed into greater economic hardship. Each year, tens of thousands of city residents are placed into greater economic hardship as a result of accumulated delinquent parking debt because they lack the resources to pay fines and fees. With these ongoing sets of reforms, we hope to give Chicago motorists additional options to clear the slate and make payments appropriate for their income level. That's it. That's the story. Yeah, but
what can we take away from Lightfoot? Again, she needs to go back to the Wiener Circle. I'm gonna quote Cassie Powers: send her back to the Wiener Circle, and have the entire staff there just roast her. There you go. Literally and figuratively.
This hot bitch, look at Lori, hot bitch. What you want? Come on, cause you better fuck her right, cause I will fuck her to death. Yo, I'ma have, she got a big dick, all right. What's up, Lori? What you want? What's up? You fucking me tonight? You fucking me too?
You know, I never been there, the Wiener Circle. I never been there.
It's an experience. I've been there a long time ago. It's been a while.
No,
But,
I haven't been to the Wiener Circle, so I'm gonna have to go there and check it out.
let's go together. Tell me when you got some free time to go enjoy a hot dog.
All right.
Get abused by the staff.
Yeah, sure thing. No problem. Well, here's the thing. I know this weekend's going to be a little busy, but maybe next weekend. How's that sound? Kit and Jerry's Adventure. The Adventures of Kit and Jerry in Chicago.
We'll have to bring our cameras and show how we get abused by them.
Okay, no problem.
So this was shared on Twitter by our regular friend of the show, Kathy Powers, along with the way that Lightfoot's trying to buy off the city. How could an extra $500 a month impact your life? Hey, we've encouraged everybody watching before, go and apply, take advantage of it. But as Kathy says, there are more than 5,000 of your constituents who are reeling. We are more than a lottery number. Absolutely. Bite the Lightfoot winners. You mean wieners? I think is what Ilharner means.
Wieners, the biggest dick in the biggest wiener in Chicago, Lightfoot.
Yep. All right, so let's see here. Let me get up to our next story here.
Myra says, I lived near them for a year, but never went. Oh, Ratzenheimer. Come on, we got to fix that, Myra.
Maybe we should all go together. Let's get the whole crew together and go over there maybe in a couple weeks.
You know what? That's an idea. That's something we could talk about tomorrow, maybe for some fun, when we're
definitely.
There you go.
There are a couple of, before we move on from the Lightfoot story, again, I love spending time on Reddit, some comments there. Re-election, the comment, I have never met anybody who has managed to piss off every single person they come in contact with, police, fire, teachers, aldermen, businesses, manufacturing, is spot on. I've made a strikingly similar observation many times on this sub. Usually the mayor of Chicago has some bastion of support. Here we have an example of someone who actively wants everyone furious and not supporting them. Robotic Poultry comments, she's a fucking joke who can't take one. She wants to come off as a tough public figure, but every time she opens her mouth, she sounds like a whining child and then goes home to her huge house with CPT protection. We've got a decent governor last time around. When does Chicago get its turn to have a decent mayor? I despise Lightfoot, and I voted for her, but she's not exactly been anti-cop, despite the police union bosses hating her. She has pretty much given them unlimited funds. Yeah, that's the interesting thing, how she rides both sides of the fence there. All right, so our next story actually has some video, so let me bring that up, and we will play it from YouTube. Now, Kit, you brought this case up when we were talking about, I think it may have been the Juicy Smollier, that famous French thespian, Juicy Smollier, making that. Right. So you brought up G.I. Joe, this cop who was out in Charles Gliniewicz in Lake County, which is in Illinois. So yeah, who also he killed himself and decided he was going to make it look like he was, he made up a whole story so that his wife could get the benefits from his insurance. Well, she was, I guess, also charged with conspiring with Joe Gliniewicz, and she got probation. Doesn't go to jail. She's sentenced to probation for role in financial misdeeds preceding police officer husband's death by suicide. Now, why do I bring this up? Because she should go to jail, as Juicy Smollier should go to jail. This is not about color. This is not about race. Going to jail shouldn't be about color or race. And I think clearly in this situation, Glinowicz's widow is benefiting from white privilege. She knew about it. She should go to jail as Smollier should have gone to jail. They are liars. They deceived law enforcement for their own benefit. in different ways. So let me run the video from YouTube that kind of goes over some of the details here.
Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz just learned her sentence. She pleaded guilty in February to a felony charge of deceptive practices.
CBS 2's Tim McNicholas is live now from the Lake County Courthouse. Tim.
Erica and Brad, the judge just handed down that sentence about a half hour ago. We have learned that Melody Gliniewicz will not be serving any time in prison.
I am going to sentence the defendant to a period of 24 months probation.
And the judge reached that decision after listening to about 5 hours of testimony today. Prosecutors say Melody Gliniewicz helped her late husband, Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz, embezzle thousands of dollars from a youth program for kids interested in police careers. It was called the Police Explorer Program. Today, Melody Gliniewicz watched as prosecutors played a police interview from 2016 after her husband's death, in which they asked her about the funds.
Use the Explorer credit card, we always paid that back. And people want to go, well, that's embezzling funds. And I'm like, no, you paid it back.
Investigators say Joe Gliniewicz committed suicide because he feared he'd be caught and exposed as a thief. But first, he radioed that he was chasing 3 men in this wooded area.
Send everybody you possibly can.
It led to a manhunt for the fictional suspects, a massive investigation, and a flow of support for Melody Gliniewicz, who spoke at this vigil.
How much money got wasted in that investigation?
Joe was my best friend.
Hold on, I'll wait for the video to continue playing.
Okay.
My hero. The love of my life.
Today, prosecutors tried to make the case that the couple acted together and spent the money on personal expenses, airfare, and a Hawaii vacation. They showed bank records of $7,000 leaving an account for the youth program a day before $7,000 was deposited into Melody Gliniewicz's account. And late this afternoon, a tearful Melody Gliniewicz told the judge she never took any money from the Explorer account.
I didn't know my husband was combing his own money into the Explorer account until he asked me to write a check back into the account.
Liar.
I knew the full amount that he was commingling until after his death.
And if Gliniewicz successfully completes her probation with no problems, then she will have that offense wiped from her record. She will also have to complete about 150 hours of community service. Live at the Lake County Courthouse, Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
Go ahead, Kit.
Liar. So, look, here's the thing. I remember that case when it happened, and I found it suspicious. So, again, right off the bat, for those of you who don't know, in 2016, I think late 2015 or something like that, there was, again, Joe Gliniewicz took his life. Now, the way it happened was he called in that he saw 3 suspicious individuals, 2 white males, and I believe a black male as well. He went to follow them, apparently, had a little tussle with them, and he lost his life. But as further investigation showed, it was suicide. And as the coroner who was doing the autopsy was coming down to the conclusion, like, yo, this looks like suicide, public opinion was saying, oh, no, he's a hero. That's G.I. Joe. This man got an American Pharaoh funeral. I mean, I'm talking about thousands of cops all across the country. Everyone in the media was covering it. This was a big event. And I'm talking about the egg on people's faces, too, because some YouTube videos are still up from that funeral service. And in the comment section, as soon as it's revealed, many months later, or a few months later, when it was revealed, like, oh, he committed suicide and that he was, stealing money from that, police program for young people, everyone was saying, oh, how dare you say that he's a thief and that he committed suicide. A few months later, I'm so sorry, you were right. I mean, that comment section is gold. This Joe Gliniewicz is a scumbag. He has a long terrible history of abusing his power to the citizens of Fox Lake, as well as to a lot of the women that worked in the Fox Lake Police Department. I mean, I can't really say it on YouTube because we could get striked because what I could say, but he was a scumbag, and his wife knew about it, and his wife knew about his illegal activities. She must have had one hell of a crack team defending her, because at the end of the day, too, when we look at Fox Lake, a lot of those people, especially the police department there, covered up a lot of Joe's, not so clean activities. He literally is a piece of crap. Super Patriot's right. He literally set himself up. He was a piece of crap.
Kathy says, did Catanzaro kiss his casket?
Probably so, and Catanzaro was probably there.
Do you think she did the Dutch? All right, so I have one possible theory as to why she didn't do time, or she's not doing time. She pled guilty. She acknowledged that she committed a crime, unlike Smolier. Maybe that creates some favor with the judge. I don't know. I still think she should do some time, because you need to set an example to other people. This shit will not be tolerated.
There is another scenario too. Look, if she knew about it, she could have been like, look, I knew about it, but I couldn't get out of it. Maybe he was really abusive towards her, because we have to look at that consideration too, right?
Yeah.
That he might have really, because again, I can't really say on YouTube right now what he has done. There are bigger channels that are probably more protected than me and on Chicago Corner that can actually say this stuff more freely and not get hit with YouTube and the censorship. But he did some scumbag stuff, and he harassed a lot of women. Is it no different than maybe he probably had that same kind of relationship towards his wife? So she
I didn't know this. So was there alleged harassment charges filed against him starting with an S in the past? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'll talk to you later. Oh, here's the thing. Okay. So as clean as I can keep it, he would get into women's personal space.
Okay.
And he also did inappropriate behavior.
Not surprising then, given the rest.
He also had extramarital affairs with his son's ex-wife.
Okay, so surely all of this is public record. People can look up on Google if they're so inclined.
You know what? Wait. I recommend this YouTube channel. That chapter. It's called That Chapter. And this YouTuber did a video on Joe Gliniewicz. It's about 25, maybe 28 minutes long. It goes into detail about really what kind of a scumbag Joe Gliniewicz truly was.
All right. The Chicago Sun-Times article that covered this by Clifford Ward mentions in a Lake County courtroom, the widow tearfully accepted responsibility for her part in the financial mismanagement that compelled her husband to take his life. And I think that maybe that was her only saving grace from doing time, although I think that she should have. She faced up to 3 years in prison, but she got the 24 months probation. So that's, as a social commentary on holding people accountable and setting an example, justice is not always equal, I don't think, when it comes to race. Although, all right, so in the live chat, Kathy Powers did make the point that I'm scrolling back here. Yeah, Juicy did do some time, barely. He spent some time in jail, barely, for his lies. But he had a crack team that he's paying a lot of money to get him out, because that's something like, the amount of time it was going to take for his appeal to go through. He would have served his sentence, and it would have suffered undue hardships for that, because he's a big celebrity that is better than the rest of us. Okay, so let me go to our next. It's not really a story so much, but I was tickled, as I think you were, Kit, to discover this. Chicago Corner is getting some attention from potential, we wish, mayoral candidates that we hope may throw their hats in the ring. Notice on Jamal Green's Twitter feed, I'm humbled by clips sent to me like this. This is from our Tuesday show, acknowledging the work I've done for many years. It warms my heart. I just don't want our kids to drown in this pool of corruption in our state. You guys are correct. We need new leadership. We can't take it anymore. And it was really cool. Jamal actually posted a clip from the show, which I am going to rerun here because
leadership. What it is, it shows someone who cares about Chicago.
Look, we all seen the propaganda.
Yeah, Kit, can I interrupt you also? Someone who is also clearly on the ground with others that are struggling, unlike Willie Wilson. I don't want to diminish Willie Wilson's achievements and the fact that he's a successful businessman, but he's also a millionaire. And while I do believe, maybe even more, I do believe that his heart's in the right place helping people. When you're talking about an activist on the ground living in the same communities that is proposed and actually presenting solutions to people, maybe we have to initiate a draft Jamal campaign over here at Chicago Corner. I don't know.
Or draft Jamal into Willie's campaign so he can guide him a little bit.
That too.
You know, in some kind of partnership between those two would be extremely helpful for the city, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but when I look at Jamal Green, all I can think is he's on the ground, he's leading people, he's speaking about issues that's impacting the South and West Side communities in Chicago, even on the North Side too. He's talking about communities all across Chicago. He's talking about helping out the city, a city that's been neglected by this mayor and previous other mayors. He has lived firsthand in regards to what is happening on the South Side of Chicago. I think, yes, he has what it takes. Now, again, it's unfair for us to put our wants on somebody who hasn't made an announcement yet. And I do think that if he were to throw his hat in the ring, he would be the better of the candidates, a progressive candidate. And I know from my experience on Hardlands Media, you know, we have an audience that's burned out by politics and electoral politics and people being associated with the Democratic Party. But I believe in Jamal Green. I've interviewed Jamal. I've even seen him host one of the mayoral debates when he dropped out of the race. He has remained consistent about fighting for the issues of the people. And even then, when he voted for Lightfoot, he still asked for help. And throughout this entire time for her administration, she has wrongly vilified him when he's asking for help on the South Side of Chicago, on the West Side of Chicago. We need leaders.
I think we need to run that clip every week.
You know what? That's an awesome video clip. And the thing is, we're very humbled by Jamal Green sharing that.
Honored.
Yeah, and the thing is, look, we do need leadership. Now, again, Jamal has not made any announcements whatsoever. We know Willie Wilson's throwing his hat in the ring. I'm just gonna say this: Lightfoot's got to go. She cannot. I'm in the firm belief that Lightfoot cannot and must not be reelected as mayor of the city of Chicago. Okay, she has failed. She has lied. She has constantly made enemies out of everyone in the city. And if she were to get reelected, this city will get torn apart by her administration. That's the danger. A Lightfoot reelection will be a direct stab in the heart of Chicago. And Chicagoans need to wake up to the fact that we have a mayor whose administration doesn't care about us. We have a mayor that's being antagonistic towards the city council, towards I'm going to mention everyone, towards the police, towards the firefighters, towards small businesses, towards residents, towards business owners, everyone. She has made everyone in this city angry. There is no justifiable reason for Mayor Lightfoot to be reelected. At the same time, too, it's unfair to put our wants and what we want to do on what we want to see somebody do run for office. And look, we're really proud of all the work that Jamal Green has done, and he needs to keep on doing this because the city desperately needs people like him to step up. We need more people like Jamal Green. We need to see something different in this next election in 2023, and hopefully we can get somebody to do that. I don't know what this election cycle will look like, but debate me on this. Why should Lightfoot get reelected when she has failed everyone and has made an enemy out of everyone in the city? What good will that do for Chicago?
I'm getting that he's receptive to it, though, Kit, which is a good sign.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. Who knows? We'll see.
All right, story update on something that has been with us over a year now. And I hate to cite this as an anniversary type of thing, but I joined you guys last year around this time when Adam Toledo was killed in that alley by the officer during that shooting. So while Kim Foxx has pretty much abdicated any efforts to hold anybody accountable for what happened. COPA concludes the investigation into Adam Toledo's killing by the Chicago police officer. And this comes from Matt Masterson at WTTW. More than a year after 13-year-old Adam Toledo was killed by a Chicago police officer in a Southwest Side alley, the agency tasked with reviewing the shooting said it has concluded its investigation. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability on Thursday delivered its final summary report and said investigative materials related to the March 2021 shooting delivered the materials to Police Superintendent David Brown. COPA has been in contact with the Toledo family through their representatives, and we ask for patience as the investigation moves through the post-investigative review process, as the office said in a statement. Brown now has up to 90 days to respond to any COPA recommendations of discipline or other remedial action for any officers involved. That response could lead to further review by the city's law department, a hearing before the Chicago Police Board, or other grievance filings and arbitration. We know the circumstances regarding the shooting. Toledo was carrying a firearm in his right hand, but began dropping it and tried to put his arms in the air as he turned to face Officer Stillman, who then fired one shot at the boy, striking him in the chest. Now, last month, the Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox announced that her office would not be filing any criminal charges against Stillman. Toledo's death, along with the fatal shooting of 22-year-old Anthony Alvarez, who was killed by another officer just days later in a separate incident, might I also add, literally in the back, have led to widespread calls on Chicago Police Department to reform its foot pursuit policy. And can I also editorialize here, Kit? This is about the foot pursuit policy. I'm not arguing that if police find themselves in a life-threatening situation that their police cameras can actually support and prove that they shouldn't protect themselves. This is about the foot pursuit policy. With officers deciding to chase people, they're not in danger, and they decide that the way to solve the problem is to shoot the person that they're chasing. Or in the tragic circumstances with Toledo, in that split second when he was responding to the officer's orders, the officer shot and killed him. When we know that he dropped the gun and followed the officer's orders after the foot pursuit. The department created a temporary policy but missed a deadline, of course, to institute finalized changes by last September. Police officials say that new policy will be in place sometime in 2022. Now, I've been searching for what was in COPA's report, what was in their suggestions. It's not available. I guess we got to wait. I think it said 30 days for Superintendent Brown to review what their recommendations are, because I can't find it online anywhere. They just announced that they released the report and the recommendations to Superintendent Brown. So as we continue to follow this and report on it, I guess, I at least wanted to update people and see and let them know that we're waiting to see what those recommendations are, and we'll report on it further. But they have been presented to Superintendent Brown. So
how many Chicagoans are in negative equity and seeing no way up in the world other than through the criminal past? Is blaming Borg really the solution to the system gone so wacky?
Yeah. Hey, how about this?
Look, folks, while it does sound like a nice idea, hashtag support the Rubicon Party. No matter how the election turns out, we cross the Rubicon and take on Pompey and his scumbag forces. You need to have a lot of money to run for the office of mayor, or even at anything in regards to Chicago politics. Plus, there's so many other horrible shenanigans in regards for election integrity in the city of Chicago. So while it does sound good, I like being in a position of actually being with the people on the ground, reporting for the people, and speaking for the people. Maybe someday if the realm of politics is there, but it's not today, folks. Not today, folks. But I do believe that there are better people than me in this city that are far more qualified to actually lead us to a better future. And I'd be honored.
Chicago's beyond saving. Give me more time. There are good people here.
There are good people here in Chicago. And better people than me. Better people than me. And I think that they have what it takes.
I don't say it enough because I kind of forget as we're engaged in all these conversations, but everybody watching, please smash that like button. It helps the channel. And yes, I appreciate
like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yes. And I appreciate people in live chat constantly encouraging everyone to smash that like button because it definitely helps the channel. Hey, Dominic's with us from TrueDemocracyNow.org. Police reform is not very likely unless we reform how we vote in elections to get rid of the politicians that condone police behavior that harms our citizens.
Turkey Day, I have to correct you. The Rubicon Party, you're saying is the Democrat-Republican Party? No, the Rubicon Party is my own political party. And let's just say they are no friend. If you're part of the Rubicon Party or also the Volcano Party, they are no fans of the Democrats or Republicans. So hashtag join the Volcano Party, hashtag join the Rubicon Party. Cross the Rubicon. We make them pay.
You might have more supporters for mayor than you think, though, Kit.
Maybe.
How about that?
Maybe.
And what is Superintendent Brown going to recommend when he gets that COPA report? Vote for lightweight.
And then Miguel H. And Miguel H., don't forget, you got your
own.
I haven't forgotten. You got to make that jigsaw map of the Chicago districts, of all the ward districts. Probably as soon as he sees that map, he's going to be like, oh my God, how do I make this?
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Ilhanar, for lava-based solutions. We all are. All right, let's go to our I guess it's our last story, although I want to also mention something after we report on this story. And this story's got video. And you know what? I remember this. We're now 30 years from the Great Chicago Flood, which happened, the 30-year anniversary was this past Wednesday. On Wednesday, 30 years ago, people started to notice water backing up in the Merchandise Mart basement. They knew this wasn't. Let me run the video. I think they've got some good historical footage in this. So I'll run the video too. About 2 minutes. Let's sit back. Let's go into the time machine for 2 minutes and remember.
By the time Myron Maurer arrived at work on April 13th.
Oh, give it a moment to cycle here.
No.
Come on.
Oh, infernal machine.
1992, the entire boiler room underneath.
I think it's going to buffer. Maybe I need to run it at regular size in the window.
All right, run a regular size.
Actually, the massive Merchandise Mart was under.
I refreshed the page. All right, sorry guys. Let me run it once more from the beginning. You know, and it was such a smooth show up to now. I was clicking things fast, and always something ends up happening. And it's
this is why we need the Volcano Party. Lava-based solutions to fix the internet.
All right, let's go back to the video. Yeah, it's just a little mistake. Remember the Merchandise Mart. All right, let me bring it back up here and let's watch the video. All right.
The massive Merchandise Mart was under 30 feet of water. As the director of operations at the time, Maurer knew the flood was something more than a water main break.
You could actually see fish in the water, and by that time, I think people realized somehow it was, the river.
The Mart was the first of many Loop buildings to call 911. Over 124 million gallons of water rushed into the Loop's underground tunnel system. The Great Flood of 1992 was Mayor Richard M. Daley's first big test as a new mayor. He quickly mobilized a team, included his deputy chief of staff, Gary Chico.
What we wound up doing, Sarah, at the end of the day, was evacuating hundreds of thousands of people from the Loop and sent them home.
Never closed before, the Loop stage shut down for 2 days.
And it was this really bright, sunny April day, and there was this disaster going on, but no one really realized it was all underground.
The disaster that no one saw was caused when a construction crew cut corners and accidentally caused a crack in an old freight tunnel underneath the Chicago River near the Kinsey Street Bridge. Mayor Daley called in John Kenny Jr., owner of Kenny Construction, to figure out how to plug it.
We've got to stop the water from pulling the bottom of the river into the freight tunnel.
Using large rock to stop the pulling in order to make way for the placement of shafts, Kenny stopped it 7 days later.
Wow.
And it took a few more days to pump all the water out of building basements. Holding several daily press conferences, Kenny became an instant celebrity, dubbed the Flood Stud for his fashionable teal coat.
That part of it was comical.
Before the 1992 flood, the city's underground tunnels were pretty much underutilized and ignored. But afterwards, the Daley administration turned them into an asset.
We built these very thick metal conduits throughout the downtown that carry fiber and cable. And we leased it out to people right now. The city makes money from that.
Chico and Kenny say the Loop flood was also a great example of the public and private sector working together to solve a problem. In the Loop, Sarah Schulte, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
It was a big
By the time Myron Maurer arrived at work on April 13th,
we watched it.
1992,
It was a big story. I remember we were like everybody was tuned in Chicago. It was a daily story for no pun intended, a daily story for several weeks as they had evacuated the Loop, and everybody, it could have been a lot worse, but luckily they managed to handle it.
So 30 years ago, this is baby kid, 7 years old. So I'm just a freaking kid. I remember my grandpa and my mom talking about like, oh, gee, how are we gonna do with getting traffic? Because my grandpa had to drive my mom to work here and there, and of course my grandpa's always talking about it, watching the TV. He says, "Okay, there's the news on. What's about time in the merchandise market?" Yeah, Grandpa. Hey, young people, you don't know what it's like. We didn't have the internet as bad as it is right now. So there you go. The struggle was real back in the day. A lot of millennials forget that. I'm an old millennial. I remember that stuff. Jesus, kid, you make me feel. Hey, Jesus, kid, what's that supposed to mean? Hey, I'm not dead yet.
Speaking of historic anniversaries this week, Kit, happy 100th birthday to our late great mayor Harold Washington, who was a leader.
Whom Lightfoot said, off the record, I'm doing more than Harold Washington. Yeah.
Did she? Where did you read that? Where did you read that?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me go.
How dare she? How fucking dare she say something like that? Unbelievable. No, it's not unbelievable. Actually, it's not unbelievable at all, given her ego and her thin skin.
Yeah,
I believe you. I'm not. I mean, you don't have to go cite it, but I'm shocked because I hadn't heard that. And usually, I watch social media to see the stupid things that come out of her mouth. But yeah, it's his 100th birthday this week, and there were a lot of celebrations citywide. I know that had Mayor Lightfoot said that, Kid, of course, she seized on the opportunity to play on the anniversary of his birthday for herself with some of the events that were happening citywide, which shouldn't surprise us at all either. But I did want to note that it is.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
I'm trying to find that.
It is the anniversary of his 100th birthday. Lightfoot will do that for $1. Yep. The audacity. Yeah.
Oh my
so I just wanted to. I
gotta find it. Damn it.
That's all right.
I remember it too. And I was tweeted it out too.
I was actually going to see if I could find some retrospectives. You know what? We have some time. Let me quickly see if there are any short retrospectives on Mayor Washington's legacy here in Chicago. I'm going to pop up on YouTube here real quick and see if I can find anything. Harold Washington legacy. So we can all enjoy it together in celebration of his 100th birthday.
Yes. Hang on. Let me go and see if I can find this. Gosh darn it.
All right. I just found something, and it doesn't seem to be too long. It's only 5 minutes. Let me run it here. This would be a nice way to close out the show. Oh, wait. Actually, we got something from WGN that I think is better. It's a little bit shorter. While you look for that, let me pop this one up. This comes to us from WLS Chicago. All right.
My time with Harold Wood.
It's from Jamal Green. I knew I saw it somewhere.
Okay.
Lightfoot will be holding her celebration of Harold Washington in an event she hijacked from the Legacy Committee. She has never honored Washington since she's been mayor by selection season. She once told an alderman, "I've done more than Harold ever did." This was posted April 12th, 2022.
But the big question, Kid, is I'm not going to repeat it. We can all read it. Turkey Day. Harold was a brilliant at city council, Thomas Jefferson level articulations.
Well, Harold, look, here's the thing. We will never know And again, if Harold Washington didn't pass away, how the city could have looked.
Yeah.
If he continued to live on.
Yeah. Okay. So Turkey Day, it's a point taken. He wasn't a saint.
No,
but he was a good leader. He was a better leader than we've seen, especially against the dailies and everything that followed them. All right. Let me run the video from WGN really quickly so we can quickly speculate on all that.
WGN News at 9.
Welcome back. Well, the life and legacy of Chicago's first African-American mayor being celebrated today downtown, just days before what would have been Harold Washington's 100th birthday.
The centennial celebrations taking place at his namesake library on State Street, and WGN's Brona Tumulty joins us now from there with more details tonight. Hi, Brona.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, packed house tonight at the public library, celebrating the many achievements of Harold Washington. He was a champion of diversity, paving the way for more Black and Hispanic representation. He created the city's Ethics Commission, and he led a $1.6 billion expansion of O'Hare Airport, helping craft Chicago into the global city it is today.
Let's apply the lessons of the past to the challenges of today.
It was 39 years ago today, on April 12th, 1983, that history was made in Chicago with the election of the city's first African-American mayor, Harold Washington.
The best birthday gift that I've ever received, Congressman Luis Gutierrez, was on April 12th, 1983, when Harold Washington was elected mayor of our city.
Scores of people gathering downtown this evening in his State Street namesake library for a centennial event titled Here's Harold, celebrating the life and legacy of a man who, if alive today, would be turning 100 on Friday. He died at City Hall of a fatal heart attack in 1987, about 6 months into his second term, leading a city he loved dearly.
Harold understood hard work as well as service for others, which was demonstrated to him from prior generations at a young age.
Among the speakers tonight, his niece, Karen Stone.
My uncle stood for, believed in, and fought for a unified city, saying Chicago is one city. We shall work as one people for our common good and our common goals.
Governor Pritzker also taking the stage, praising the man who paved the way for progress.
Today, more than 30 years after the end of his tenure, this city and this state still reverberate with Harold Washington's soul.
And Chicago's current mayor saying her predecessor was a leader who strived to make our city a more equitable place for all who call it home.
Mayor Washington made city government more transparent, more ethical, and importantly, more diverse than it has ever been in our city's history.
Too bad your mayoral administration ain't.
Right. You know what? I want to run this other quick video that's not from a news network. I think that we'll learn a little bit more on the legacy beyond the celebration we just watched. Let me play this also. I had it queued up before, but I think it would be worth watching. Hopefully you don't get a copyright strike. It's from the Chicago Public Library.
When he was exhorting people about fairness, he talked about how he was going to make sure that he brought fairness to everyone in the city. And he would say over and over again, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, I'm going to go find you, and I'm going to make sure that my administration is fair to you. It was cute and it was very Harold, but he meant it. Harold Washington's personal legacy, he had such an incredible vocabulary, which came out of his love of reading. That's what the library is all about. He loved books. He worshiped books. He spent hours into the wee hours of the night reading books. And he displayed that through his vocabulary, which no one was in the city was ready for. I remember as a reporter when I was covering him, he had all these big words that you'd never heard of before. The reporters were always running to go grab the dictionary to figure out what he just said, because he was so well read and he knew his stuff.
The most impactful memory I have from Harold from our work in City Hall was when he wanted to appoint me as director of the mayor's office of intergovernmental affairs. And several members of the senior staff were saying that that would never work because that job involved going to the General Assembly, and the speaker, who at the time was Mike Madigan, would never go for female as the representative of the mayor. And there was this debate going on. So I went to my phone, picked it up and called Mike Madigan and said, Harold is thinking about appointing me as director of the mayor's office of intergovernmental affairs. Do you have a problem with that? And his reply was, of course not. And that led to me being director of the mayor's office of intergovernmental affairs.
The Herald was elected in 1983. It changed the city. This went from a city where people stayed in their separate neighborhoods to a city where people came together. Herald was a very charismatic, warm, engaging, and wise leader who sent clear messages that if we are going to change this city, it is going to have to be by working together, and also by taking a strong stand against corruption, taking a strong stand against those people who would want the city to remain what it's been, that privileged the few, that masks the many.
The first person.
I don't want to get a copyright strike on Facebook. I don't think we'll get it on YouTube, but I think, well said. People can find this video on YouTube regarding Harold's legacy. It's called Harold Washington, A Living Legacy, presented by Matthew Ewing, and it's available on the Chicago Public Library's channel for anybody that is interested.
That's right. Well,
interesting to speculate what could have been, what would have been.
What could have been, what could have been. But you know what? I have hope for the future. There are people in Chicago that actually care about this city. So you know what? There are good people in Chicago who will fight for it. I said we need to make it happen. It's not too late for this city. It's not too late for Gotham.
It's not too late for Chicago as Gotham.
Not. It says it's not too late for Gotham. It's not too late for Hell's Reach.
Where's Hell's Reach?
Okay, so I had this joke with my friend in the Marine Corps, about Gotham City, because The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins and Dark Knight were filmed in Chicago, right? Hell's Reach is from a Warhammer 40K novel. Hell's Reach is a city. It's a tough city. It's on the planet called Armageddon, and it's a war zone. But Hell's Reach survived a huge siege, and I just kind of connect Chicago being Hell's Reach.
I think it's a good connection.
Chicago is Gotham. Chicago is Hell's Reach.
Hell's Reach too.
You can't break this city.
No. All right. We come to the end of our show here. Any announcements coming over from Hardlands Media that you'd like to share?
No, but I just want a few minutes of your time after the live stream show, of course. But otherwise, I'm really looking forward towards what we're doing here. The channel is slowly growing, but again, what's keeping us alive is Patreon supporters and subscribe to us on Rockfin and Odyssey and on Twitch too, so that we can keep on growing our network, because the YouTube censorship's real and it's not getting easier for a lot of us.
Absolutely. What else was I going to share here towards the end of the show? Ed couldn't join us tonight. I believe he's at his brother's wedding this evening.
Yep.
We always miss Ed. He will be back soon. So yeah, that's everything that's going on. I got to run it one more time. I'm not, for everybody celebrating Easter this weekend. Once again, one more Easter greeting from Chicago. As you like to say, Kit, who says we don't have fun over here at Chicago Corner?
Who says we don't have fun? Huh? Was it Miguel H? Still got your homework assignment, buddy.
Ether money. All right, Kit, thanks for joining me tonight. I think we had a good show, covered a lot of ground here. I will see you tomorrow. And to everyone else here on Chicago Corner who have joined us tonight for the Friday night edition, thanks for taking part in the show, contributing in the live chat. Really, really appreciate the super chats we've got. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, share the channel. Until we return on Tuesday, please make sure to watch out for each other, be safe, take care of yourselves, be vigilant, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you will hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Remember, next week we will also on Tuesday have a Green Party candidate that we will be interviewing at the top of the show, so return then to join us, and please, over this weekend, stay safe, everybody. Cheers.